Our courts are based on clear and convincing evidence. Want convictions? Want justice? For what happened in the 2020 election? Then we need your help. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The decision you make in the next few moments could decide whether we ever get our elections fixed or not. Here's why. Trump campaign and allies file 64 different lawsuits. They all went down in flames. One cases were presented on "It's the Machines," or "The Machines Changed the Votes," or "The voting company executive said he would make sure Donald J. Trump would not win." They all went down in flames. Why? You can't bring theories to court as evidence. No supposed Zoom call or six-degree polynomial math theory or census data is or ever will be proof of fraud. You can't bring theories to court as evidence. Here's why. In both civil and criminal law, the side making a claim carries the burden of, and prosecutors must prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Without physical or otherwise verifiable evidence, a case cannot meet this high threshold. Physical evidence is the key. The question is, did anyone get relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election? And the answer is yes, absolutely. The full forensic audit of Maricopa County, Arizona is the only evidence-gathering work which gathered relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election. Evidence so damning that the system, the deep state, and those who pull the strings of this country have fought to keep it hidden and have hoped to have it be forgotten to time. Almost $3 million invested in time efforts to unlock that which the system wanted hidden. But now, that evidence is in danger of being lost forever. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. With the 2026 midterms coming up, the system is going to try to lame duck President Trump and then most likely introduce new impeachment proceedings. This is the evidence which will help win the war which is surely to come. We need to keep Maricopa County full forensic investigation and archives secure and ongoing. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We need your help securing the full forensic audit archives. Don't allow the only testable, objective, and reliable 2020 election evidence fall into obscurity. Millions were spent on getting it documented and tested. This is historic evidence. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County full forensic audit archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. Please donate now.
Hey guys, how's that going? Welcome to the program. We're going to get deep. We're going to go back thousands of years, but we're going to get deep today because I think people need to be reminded of what's going on literally around us. By the way, just a piece of housekeeping first. Seems that President Trump has issued a pardon for Tina Peters. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out because she was charged and convicted of a state crime, not a federal crime. And the state doesn't necessarily have to comply. Very interesting. Very interesting to see what's going to go on. But I wanted to give you that kind of heads up. It's in play. By the way, today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Gold Co. Here's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to go to jovanlovesgold.com and just feed your brain. This is all about knowledge, folks. Nobody's coming to save you except you. Nobody's going to navigate you through this properly except you. And therefore, you have to feed your brain. Please go to jovanlovesgold.com, request your free gold and silver kit today, because now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver. I think silver's to the roof, isn't it? Almost. I mean, it's headed towards $65 an ounce. Folks, it's just about having some liquidity, at least have a little bit of peace of mind. Please protect yourself. And by the way, you might actually qualify to get up to $10,000 in free silver for doing it. I know the holidays are coming too. Today's my precious young son's birthday. Happy birthday, son. 26 years. 26 years old. My youngest. Damn. Time flies. And with the holidays, you know, we have our share of stress. I've got something to reduce your stress because the holidays are hectic. You're going to have family drama, even in good families. You're going to have last-minute shopping, if that's your thing. You're going to have late nights that can make the holidays feel like an endurance test. That's why I'm sharing the ultimate holiday survival plan. It's CBD from CB Distillery. Seriously, everything you need for a merry holiday is here. Think about it. Stuff your mom's stocking with CBD for better sleep. What a gift. Or maybe your fitness friends and buddies. How about the pain relief stick that's used for your post-workout plan? That's my go-to. And don't forget to grab a little holiday calm for yourself. Every CB Distillery product is made with premium quality, clean ingredients, no fillers, no artificial anything. And with over 2 million customers and 100% money-back guarantee, it's a gift you can feel good about giving, and a gift you give which will make people feel good. Mine is the roll-on for pain. It is the bomb. So this year, give yourself and everyone on your list the gift of better sleep, less stress, and pain relief with CBD from CB Distillery. And with my promo code, remember this time it's not my name, it's Rumble, and you can save 25% on your entire purchase. Visit cbdistillery.com, enter promo code Rumble for 25% off. cbdistillery.com, promo code Rumble, cbdistillery.com. There may vary by state what product they can deliver to you, but you can ask people in chat right here that use it. You can ask them. They'll tell you their own experience. If you want, scan the code you see on your screen. And in this downtime, when it's cold, this is when you should be planning to cover your booty. Don't forget, a great holiday gift is our Food Forest Bible, How to Plant a Food Forest. This is how you plant it, P-L-A-N it, before you P-L-A-N-T it. You plant it. These things will regenerate themselves if you do it right. They're biblical in nature. Nobody had ever published a definitive source on it, ever. Right? Nobody had ever published a book like this. The longest ongoing one's almost 4,000 years old. Been feeding an entire community for 4,000 consecutive years. That's what this is about. So it takes you through everything you need to know, even down to pests that are God's assassins. Some of the bugs you step on, God put there to eat the bugs that eat your food. You just need to know which ones they are. there have been people that have cloned this book. I made a mistake. I don't like ebooks. I don't like reading it on the screen. I like the tactile book. It's probably just me. I always think in terms of when it hits the fan or when it goes to hell in a handbasket. I want the hard copy. But I did do an ebook, and rat bastards took my ebook, cracked the ebook, and did their own versions, which are totally cheap versions. They're just writing off the name. Don't be fooled. It's got my name on it. You'll see it on the front. That's why I do that. I also teach you with fruit. I also teach you, if you don't like digging and weeding, how to deal with that. But we're going to be in trouble with our food supply. I keep on telling you. But you're big men and women. You can decide for yourself. And that's why I try to keep up with, hey, cut the crap out, culture, race, and American politics, because it's all crap. There's nothing real, folks. And we're going to talk about what's real and what's not, and how it all works. I'm going to do that by talking about spiritual warfare and the, get ready, the satanic driver, I'm fumbling my words. When you look at the 3 demons that do this, 3 key demons. Most people only think in terms of Lucifer or Satan. There's 3 key demons. We're going to be talking about it. While the show open runs, I want you to think about, do you believe in demons? I want you to put it in chat as we get started. Do you believe in demons? And if you do, what form do you believe they come in? Is it just kind of like ether and out there? Is it in physical nature? Is it big bad beasts like Hollywood movies? Do they take over people? Right? I want you to think about that. Cody, sorry for the loss of your grandmother. Maybe this is a show you need to see. Okay, put it in chat. We'll get started right after this.
Warning. The following program has been rated Gilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians? The elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd. Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Do you believe in demons? Do you believe in spiritual warfare? Do you know about I always talk about the unholy trinity, media, academia, right? Politicians, etc. There is an unholy trinity that I think it's ironic that most churches don't actively teach about it. Now, I asked you in chat for the beginning of the program, how do you think, first off, do you believe in demons? Just give me a yes or no, put it in chat. And then the next question I asked is, what form do they take? Is it like Hollywood, the pick of destiny, and Satan's this big, fiery, huge horned rock star playing a guitar? Horns, cloven feet, fire, brimstone? Is it something in the air around us? Is it something that can infect people, infect the world? Is it something that can possess people? Like The Exorcist? Still scares the shit out of me when I watch it, no matter how many times I watch it. What form do you happen to believe demons take? And would you be able to recognize spiritual warfare if it was right in front of you? Do you think you'd be able to recognize spiritual warfare? You know, spiritual warfare also is, give you a visual piece first. Here's what I know to be true. Here's what the veil in our world is getting thinner and thinner on. It's like we're just looking at it now through a sheer piece of gauze. It's very real, but here's a very good depiction of spiritual warfare that most people don't pay attention to. I'm going to put that on a loop for a bit. Let me switch my button here. I just want to play for a few times. I want you to imagine, and I'm telling you right now, this goes on around you nonstop. It's going on more than you could ever imagine. That's the best visual depiction that I could give you of what spiritual warfare is. Now, to know me or to follow what I talk about, I draw a very distinct line between faith and having a relationship with God. And on the other side of that line is religion and church. One is as God created it and ordained it. One is man's interpretation and corralling of it. Literally, anytime people get together in his name and talk about these things, we're having church. And there's no building involved, and I'm not wearing a robe. I know you thought I was going to say I'm not wearing any pants, but that doesn't matter, and I'm not doing that too. But literally, we have to understand the difference between God and faith and what man captured and institutionalized, and that is religion and churches. For me personally, I don't care what your religion is, because that's called free will. And I'd be a freaking liberal if I said, well, you got to do this or you're going to die or you're not worthy. That would kind of make me a screaming liberal idiot. But think about how many people do that and consider themselves conservatives, but do the very same thing that liberals do to us conservatives. So for me, I'll just tell you the truth. So you know where it is. You don't get confused. And this is only about spiritual warfare and things you should know. I think even all religions, whether it's native or pagan or anything, it all goes back to a common thread of things being revealed to man through God and having a direct communion with God. We're all in the same boat. We didn't get any of the dividing or hyphens, just like they as voters. You're either a African American or a gay American and all this bullshit hyphen. But you know, the original hyphens were the church hyphens. I don't subscribe to any of that. And therefore, I want you to understand, as we have this discussion, I don't care about your church or the label you wear as a religion. I also don't care whether you're a Democrat or a liberal or a agnostic or independent or Green Party or whatever, because the fact of the matter is, it's just none of my freaking business. And I'm grounded enough in absolute truth that I realize I have no say and my opinion just doesn't freaking matter. And I'm not so egotistical that I think I have any kind of dominion over you to tell you you're wrong. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Go through this today. This message is for everybody. Everybody. Right? Everybody. And by the way, you can't believe in God and you're made in God's image and free will, and then turn around and tell somebody they're wrong because you don't believe the right thing. That is the opposite of free will. That is the opposite of trusting God, and that is the opposite of acknowledging God has a plan for everything and every one of us. And again, I always tell you, the number one cause of atheism in the world is Christianity. Don't believe me? Check it out. Okay. Let me show you some of the spiritual warfare going on, because sometimes people don't recognize it for what it is. The pandemic was spiritual warfare. What we're going through, cause and effect, because of the post effect of the pandemic, which was a topic of one of my other programs, is warfare. Let me show you another form of spiritual warfare. I just want you to think about this for a moment. Elon amplified this. Taiwan's falling birth rate approaches a record low. The country's population declined for the 23rd straight month in November, with almost twice as many deaths as births. What does evil want to do? You know of it when you think of a new world order or any of that stuff. We're the carbon they want to get rid of. So who is this serving? Who is this glorifying? Get it? Okay. So I want to set a few measuring sticks. This is not a sermon. This is a history lesson. This is not a sermon. This is a history lesson. Get it straight for people that are going to start posting biblical verses in it. You don't need to do that. This is a history lesson. That's it. It's a history lesson. Now, one of the things in history, right, that many people miss is what's quoted in Ephesians 6:12. The very simple quote, "Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." It's spelled out for you to understand what this is. It's clearly spelled out. 100%. Right? 100%. It is clearly spelled out for you. Now, with that said, history teaches us about another unholy trinity. And that's why I asked you, do you know this history of three particular, doesn't matter what you want to call them, devils, demons, angels, or whatever. You want to understand them for what they are. Now, pop quiz. How long has mankind, I'm looking for a number. How long has mankind been dealing with, and we know it by writings or stories or whatever, how long has mankind been dealing with this issue of spiritual warfare? It's like somebody said, as I walk through the valley of the shadows of PCAPs, I think that was spiritual warfare that we went under in that. But how long, put it in chat, how long do you think, I want a number. I don't want to, and here's an example, right? You say Adam and Eve, I understand that. I'm looking for a number. Don't be generic, like the beginning of time. Be like, who said that? Slavovich? 5,000 years. No, I want years. How many years? I'm seeking a number. I'm thinking of it in my head. 6.6 thousand years. K2 said that. Shannon said 6,000 years. Hader said 6,000 years. Dina said 10,000 years. Okay. Let me give you the exact template for that. Is going back to the very first thing date-wise that has been found thus far. Why do I say thus far? I believe there's far more of our history that's still out there buried that hasn't been discovered than we know. So I give you the caveat of the dates thus far based on what we've learned or what we've known. Okay. Tom got it right. 8675430 Yeah. Honestly, Tom, that's funny. Maybe for this answer, you could turn to Jenny and she could give you the answer. You ready? Here it is. Mankind has documented and wrote about this for right at 5,000 years. Now, these are the oldest records we have. Yes, you're right. She's got it. That's a Jenny. Jenny, who can you turn to? Anyway. Mankind has documented this struggle for a very, 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 very long time. The idea, the teachings about spiritual warfare are actually older than the text of the Bible. And it is older than getting very specific on the idea of fallen angels. That's how long, right? That's how long this has been going on. And mankind has been struggling with this concept of spiritual warfare. Now, what happens is in this spiritual warfare mix, there is a triad, a trio, a trinity that ironically kind of controls this. Now, this idea of spiritual warfare breaks down into two specific categories. There is the earliest written evidence, keyword there, the earliest written evidence of fighting demons and evil spirits. You got it? The earliest written evidence of fighting demons and evil spirits. And then the second level it goes in, because there's little subtle classifications of it, is the most written evidence or earliest written evidence of falling angels and this thing called a cosmic war. Okay? Now, if you go back to ancient times and ancient peoples, some of the first texts we have about this is in ancient Mesopotamia, what is basically called that the Middle East, the Levant, right? Sumer, Akkad, Babylon, Assyria, etc. In those culture, they believed and struggled and dealt with demons. Udug, not Dig Dug, Udug, Utakuyu, right? And during those times, it was demons and stuff, and they were known for causing sickness, bad luck, and madness. And that's where people were discussing them at that time. Conversely, on the opposite end of that spectrum, people also believed in protective spirits. Okay? And they actually believed protective spirits, I still believe this myself, protective spirits were there to drive out and to counter the demons. This is where the concept of spiritual warfare comes from. This is where it comes from. Udag, Udagul. Udagul, right? That's what it was originally called, right? That was the prayer. Some might call it chant. Some might say it's exorcism, but it was a prayer, a petition, Udagul, to cast out evil demons. Now, this really took hold when you see the Sumerian writings, which come later, in the 3rd millennium BC. That's 2500 to 2000 BC. And from there, it's just kept on being studied, kept on being studied, kept on being researched, and more ancient writings have been found, right? I'll give you an example. The Udaghul, right? It happens every day in my broadcast with thumbs down. Somebody is so possessed, right, against the truth, so bitter, so angry, so obsessed with me. Think about this. That their mission that they have accepted in their life is to either make sure they troll my program every day or give thumbs down every single day of their life. That's like being infected by a cancer. So it can be very small and subtle, or it can be very big. So as we got more through time and history had more access than text that we have today, right? We began to be finding documents back then that basically were giving names and descriptions to these demons and exactly what they did and what they're charged with. And at the same time, there were explicit text of, okay, how do you battle this? And so if you were just to look at as far as surviving text, and remember, we may continue, and we do all the time, find more and more and more and more and more, and it probably pushes this date back. You're talking about 5,000 years old, that there's been organized spiritual combat against demons. Okay? And it's something very unique in the fact, just like the story of Noah crosses in excess of 2,000 cultures and languages, and all have variations of it. It's the same thing for spiritual warfare. Same thing. And they all kind of feature the same expanded cosmic framework, good versus evil, legions of lesser spirits, legions of greater spirits, and those two spirits fighting each other. And so what I've decided to do is I just want you to understand the concept of it, because in one glaring statement that people forget, and I find it interesting that people think God doesn't speak literally. and God, and that people apply our culture of entertainment value, our culture of conquering thought. That's what we are. I mean, look at what the movie studios, television series put out on the stuff they do, like transgenderism and stuff. That's just to conquer thought. And I think too many people overlay, well, let's call it modern thinking or modern entertainment, on ancient text, which were literal. Does that make sense to you? And so many people forget that you absolutely know that this is not to be taken lightly at all. And I'm trying to find out how to articulate it best. They're not prose. They're not entertainment. They're just facts. And it's written down. And it's there for people to see. And you go back at the time, back to the time that Jesus walked the earth, and then didn't you go to his crucifixion, and then you basically go 60 or 70 years post the crucifixion, or being crucified. And Paul wrote while he was imprisoned. Paul actually wrote Ephesians, and so he composed this particular Paul. So 30 years after Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection, okay? Which might be, written this one. So you understand the issue with Paul when it's in this time frame. It's someone writing in Paul's name versus somebody being the actual Paul written. So it's written about 60 to 62 AD was when this was written. But this is probably one of the most significant teachings that ever occurred. And it's just a fact. It is such a clear fact. And I think people miss the whole thing, right? For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against the powers of the dark world, against the spiritual forces of evil that are within the heavenly realms. Now, every single religion, everybody included, painted people bad if you don't study their faith. It's nothing unique. It's nothing unique to have Christians say, well, you transgress because you're not studying the Bible, or to have Jews say, well, you're not studying the Torah. That's a transgression. Duh. And that's why I said this is not a message about religion or faith. This is about the very simple concept of spiritual warfare. Now, the way spiritual warfare is designed and what every culture has dealt with is the purpose of the spiritual warfare from the dark side, first off, is to deceive. The Bible tells you it's designed to deceive. We have the PCAPs. We got them in 3,000 counties. Everybody can do it. They can take it back and whatever. You find in court never was true. You understand that's deception, don't you? And nothing excuses it. You're not excused because you call yourself a Christian. You're not excused because you wear a cross on the outside of your shirt, period. And so at the base of what goes on amongst mankind is deception, deceit. That's the spreading of lies, false doctrines, and confusion. Pop freaking quiz. What are some of the false doctrines that you have witnessed emerged, we'll just say in the last 12 years? What are some of the false doctrines that are embedded inside society right now? Something you know is patently false, but it is now written into the doctrine of modern mankind. Climate change, that's basically saying, that's also saying God was wrong to put man here. God was wrong to have man evolve and be smart. Look what man built. God was wrong. Transgenderism, more than two sexes. That is a false doctrine. You know it, you see it. So I want you to understand this is not removed from us at all. And we're talking about things that have been discussed for 5,000 years. To deceive, spread lies, false doctrines, and confusion. You know why this occurs? Because everyone listening to this broadcast right now, we live in the domain that was taken over by demons. And there's really only one thing. There is a massive demons that hated that God chose mankind and gave mankind free will to govern themselves. And where we've got this incredible demonic fight to push man away from God, because those falling angels were banished and never given that. That's the battle. And so what goes hand with this is temptation. Will you agree? Luring humanity into sin. Luring humanity into sin. Ever thought about that? Do you think that still goes on? Do you think that still goes on? Put it yes or no in chat. Does that still go on? Is there still something that lures humanity into sin and disobedience? Accept my religion or I'll cut your head off. Raping kids is okay in my faith. Screwing a 6-year-old is okay in my faith. You don't believe, right off with your head. Do you understand the connection to all of this? How about this? Oppression. This is the goal of this spiritual warfare, to inflict spiritual and sometimes physical torment. Your parents don't know how to take care of you. They don't know what's best for you. The government needs to do it. You know understand why I say cut the crap, culture, race, and American politics? It's because all of that is within the purview of this spiritual warfare. And then last but not least, under spiritual warfare, there is the factor of destruction. Much better. And here's what it says in the destroy, ultimately seeking to ruin human lives and separate them from God eternally. You will not go to heaven unless a poisonous snake bites you and you live. You won't go to heaven unless you can speak in tongues. You won't go to heaven unless you pay to these gods first. Do you understand how long this people has been going on? People, do you understand how long this has been going on? So what I'm going to do is I want to kind of show you a little bit of things that most people never get down to understand really what we're going through. Is that okay? But I want to understand a little bit about, I want you to understand a little bit about spiritual warfare first, so you understand this concept. First, I showed you this piece earlier. Okay? Period. Next, here's another example of spiritual warfare.
Look at you, weak and pathetic. You are nothing but a hypocrite, a bandit.
I'll stop right there. What do you think a medicated kid or a trans kid heavily medicated thinks in their head as they're planning to kill people? It's a discussion very like this in their head.
Look at you, weak and pathetic. You are nothing but a hypocrite.
How many of you have fallen to that type of spiritual warfare? I'm no good. Nobody loves me. I can't do it. I can't keep it up. I'll tell you one thing. All the people that fight this battle out in the open air, like all of us, like those of us that sit behind a microphone and do it, you would not believe the spiritual warfare we are subjected to on a daily basis. In fact, the more you teach and help people to understand the real truth, the harder the attack begins. See, everybody on the planet is subjected to this. It's very funny that people will deny the existence of God, but don't even understand the demons talking in their own freaking heads. You can't have one without the other. Here's how it goes.
Look at you, weak and pathetic. You are nothing but a hypocrite, a bandit.
Now, I want to give you one example. That is the dialogue, the style that goes on when people fight the truth about what happened in 2020, or people don't want the truth to come out, or people made it their mission in life to troll this program or to thumbs down this program. That's the kind of stuff that goes on inside that person's head. This is like a serious infection, and it's inside you. And that's why I asked you at the beginning of the program. It's in the air. It's everywhere, and it can take you over.
Look at you, weak and pathetic. You are nothing but a hypocrite, abandoned and alone. You are my slave.
Now, do you believe that that God talks all the time? Just a simple question before I play this video. Do you believe God reveals himself through people? You've seen it on my program nonstop. Topics we're talking about, somebody roll into it. So here's a simple question. Have you ever watched in this program God reveal himself? I think it happens constantly. And that's why I thank God, right? I thank God for the little bitty blessings like Drew gave us here that reminds us this crap is real. Again, I don't know who this real Drew is, but isn't that akin, you accept my religion or I'll cut your head off? You press that button, I want to control you. You understand it? This goes on everywhere. And this is where people fall into that trap. It's very easy to fall into that trap. Just think about it. I'm telling you, we get gifts all the time.
Look at you.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry.
Look at you. Weak.
Oh, shh. I must not have had enough coffee. Fucking with you, Drew. Welcome to the program. Glad you're here. I guess God decided you needed to hear this message.
Look at you. Weak and pathetic.
Now, let me give you an example. Again, God blesses all of this. Every bit of it. Over and over again. And Drew, who is the wise man that really produces my program, well, maybe now new. I'm what am I at now? 8,000 hours of programming. I'm not sure how I did it without Drew. I have no idea. But I'd get more done if I just played it. Let me give you an example. I have free will. Let me play the video.
If you're under attack, it means you're powerful. Here's how to fight back. 1. Protect your energy. Cut off toxic people and environments. 2. Pray and meditate daily. Strengthen your connection to the divine. 3. Stay disciplined. Distractions are designed to weaken you. 4. Trust your intuition. Spiritual attacks often come disguised as opportunities. 5. Keep your circle small.
Did you catch what was true there, that sometimes attacks are disguised as opportunity? So what I did is I used one man's free will that basically believes he has the key to the formula for how I should teach. And I used that one man's free will for a teaching moment, which is incredibly important for people to understand.
Look at you. Weak and pathetic. You are nothing but a hypocrite, abandoned and alone. You are my slave. You are mine.
Lord, please help me.
Silence. Fire from Satan. Filthy animal. This man is bought with the blood of the Lamb. Christ is King.
That is a great depiction of the tools you have for fighting spiritual warfare. One more time, just for Drew. I'm going to fill you back up. I'm sorry. I know I deprived you initially.
Look at you. Weak and pathetic. You are nothing but a hypocrite, abandoned and alone. You are my slave. You are mine.
Lord, please help me.
Silence. Fire from Satan. Filthy animal. This man is bought with the blood of the Lamb. Christ is King.
Now, here's another way to look at it to understand this concept of spiritual warfare before I get into the Trinity of demons.
If you're under attack, it means you're powerful. Here's how to fight back. 1. Protect your energy. Cut off toxic people and environments. 2. Pray and meditate daily. Strengthen your connection to the divine. 3. Stay disciplined. Distractions are designed to weaken you. 4. Trust your intuition. Spiritual attacks often come disguised as opportunities. 5. Keep your circle small. Not everyone deserves access to you. 6. Speak life over yourself. Negative thoughts are part of the battle. 7. Stay focused on your mission. Your destiny is greater than the attacks. Victory is yours. Comment 999 if you refuse to lose this battle.
My mission is to make you the smartest patriot in the room and to understand how evil does this to you and how evil deceives you and how evil distracts you and how evil tries to command you and how people actually get to this point that they think, well, it should be done this way or whatever. And we're actually falling into a trap that's very dangerous. Now, when we do this, I'm gonna go through each of these, and I want you to understand who, is that okay? Who these people are. Right? Who these people are, that there's actually an unholy trinity of them. And this isn't that battle of good versus evil and cosmic warfare and everything else. Okay? Now, you have always heard of Hillel bin Satar, otherwise known as Lucifer. You've always heard of that. Right? And I'm going back to the original name, Hillel bin Satar, which you've come to know from the Latin derivative of Lucifer. So if you look at the original Hebrew, which goes further back than Latin Vulgate or other, words change over time, etc. But if you're going to study this properly, I would suggest you've got to go back in time. Now, Hillel bin Satar was, okay, literally the definition is, and it's translated like this, the shining one, the son of dawn, or the morning star, or the son of dawn. Now, in context, if you go back to Isaiah, a lot of this, right, has to do with kings at the time comparing themselves to the bright star, like Venus, which is the morning star. That is the context of it, going back into the biblical era of how they understood it. At that time, this particular demon that could infect you, or angel's job, was to basically present people as independent gods, small g, not big G. Okay? And it's always kind of been associated with the proud human, right? The proud human. And if you were to look at it across the Ugaritic text, or whatever the case may be, you know, go to ancient time, there were various deities like Shahar, Shalim, which Shahar is dawn, Shalim is dusk. And it has always referred to this ancient cosmic thing. Near East version of this, it basically says that's who's responsible for the astral brightness or the morning star. It always has to do with overreaching pride. In those times, it was used, and in rabbinic teachings, it was always used to symbolize arrogant kingship. Let me ask you a question. Do we actually live in a time of arrogant kingship? Do you think our politicians are for the people, or do they believe they are our rulers? You're right. This is so going on right here, right now. We are literally deep in the time of arrogant kingship. And what is usurping people from both God and telling us that God is wrong. God didn't create a little boy in this person. It's really a little girl. God didn't really create a little girl. She's really a little boy. Do you understand right now? We are in that prideful thing based on ancient, arrogant kingship. It's really fascinating when you study it. I suggest anyone to study this, because this trio, which I'm covering, I want you to understand what I'm doing. This trio, which I'm covering, comes from ancient times and relatively modern times, even to the Middle Ages, etc. It's what's called a demonology combo, the big three. And I'm going to show you all big three. And they were written about them in the Grimorium Verum. It's much later in time. That's the 18th century, but it does talk about the three superior spirits. But it's been around for a very, very long time. But Lucifer, which is the start of it, Lucifer, right, is the shining one, the son of dawn, right? And is the one that works directly to show people that how pride makes you fall. And so you have to understand that Lucifer is the prename of what eventually became postname, meaning fall. Prename and postname is the fall of Lucifer. Let me kind of give you an anchor so you understand where I'm headed.
The three demons who rebelled against God. The first was Lucifer, a being of extraordinary beauty, created in light. But pride was born in his heart. He wanted to be greater than God. He wanted the throne for himself. So he rose in rebellion and was defeated by the archangel Michael. Cast out of heaven, he became Satan, the adversary of humanity. The second was Beelzebub, known as the Lord of Corruption, a powerful fallen spirit who followed Lucifer, also driven by the hunger for authority and power. After his fall, he became a symbol of deception, decay, and spiritual filth. Today, his name is linked to everything that is false, polluted, and corrupt. The third was Belial, the most cunning of them all, a master of lies, manipulation, and chaos. He deceived multitudes with promises that were never meant to be fulfilled. He delights in disorder, division, and turning people against one another. Belial was condemned forever, and even now, he still whispers lies to those who choose to listen. But unlike humanity, fallen angels were never promised redemption. Their fate is already sealed. The scriptures are clear. They do not await forgiveness, they await final judgment.
Do you recognize any of that? And this is why I'm covering this unholy trio, this unholy trinity, is because sometimes people isolate it down to just Satan. And it's so much bigger, so much more involved. But remember, it is the church that gave you Satan. Don't forget that. It is the church that gave you Satan. It is the church during the inquest and the conquering, where you had to accept the queen's faith that she made the king follow, right? That tens of millions of people were killed if he didn't accept it. And the way they got the people to accept that institution, Remember, that's why I divide a line at church and organized religion, that if you didn't accept it, you were butchered. It's happened many times throughout time. But remember, they were dealing with a pagan society. And so that's when, and yes, that was the uniparty back then. You're dead on. And dealing with pagan society, right? The reality is that that's where Satan became fire and got horns and got cloven feet and got a pitchfork and everything else, because a pagan could understand that. They were afraid of fire destroying their lands or their homes. They were afraid of the wild beasts. And the one weapon they fought with that they had at the time, most people never connect this, were pitchforks. That was about the big deal. So you have to understand it's much wider and much deeper and bigger than you could ever imagine. And I warn against this, because if you don't understand spiritual warfare, you don't understand what's really going on, and you say, hey, this is just Satan, it's all satanic. If you do that focus, it's another deception. If you do that one little focus, you forget there's others that you're not calling to account who are still working on your ass. I'll play it for you one more time.
The three demons who rebelled against God. The first was Lucifer, a being of extraordinary beauty, created in light. But pride was born in his heart. He wanted to be greater than God. He wanted the throne for himself. So he rose in rebellion and was defeated by the archangel Michael. Cast out of heaven, he became Satan, the adversary of humanity. The second was Beelzebub, known as the Lord of Corruption, a powerful fallen spirit who followed Lucifer, also driven by the hunger for authority and power. After his fall, he became a symbol of deception, decay, and spiritual filth. Today, his name is linked to everything that is false, polluted, and corrupt. The third was Belial, the most cunning of them all, a master of lies, manipulation, and chaos. He deceived multitudes with promises that were never meant to be fulfilled. He delights in disorder, division, and turning people against one another. Belial was condemned forever, and even now, he still whispers lies to those who choose to listen. But unlike humanity, fallen angels were never promised redemption. Their fate is already sealed. The scriptures are clear. They do not await forgiveness, they await final judgment.
Now, if you understand this, I'm only covering the leadership. I just want you to understand that. Of course, 1/3 of the angels fell. We know that. I'm only covering the leadership for a very simple purpose. Even things that mask themselves at good are never telling you the full story. And I personally think if you don't know the history and you don't know the full story, like in this case, you're only focusing on Satan, you're leaving yourself 2/3 open. That's why I do this. And there's so much of this all over the place, and people don't understand where shortcuts were taken in theology, right? There's just a lot going on. So I'm only trying to teach you what is going on. The one thing I'm trying to help you understand is how this triple play works against every one of us. Now, I want you to answer this honestly. You may have heard words like Beelzebub, and they go by many different names. I'll get to that in a minute. But you think it's some kind of remote thing, or it's what Freemasons pray to. It's all spiritual warfare. It's all little subtle deceptions, and it usually uses the formula of 70-30, 80-20, 70% truth, right? 30% crapola to shift you. I just want you to understand the shift. And I want you to understand the dividing line that church and organized religion has put in front of you. And I also want you to understand, for everybody out there, doesn't matter who you are, etc., we're all in this together. We're all under this attack. And so to understand this from history, and here's my anchor in this. I just want you to understand, we have always been told this is as true today as it was 5,000 years ago, or as it was in, 60 AD, written by somebody writing in Paul's names. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood. Maybe you understand this in my teaching when I said, if they actually sent Hillary to Gitmo, it wouldn't change a damn thing. Do you now understand what I'm saying? If they got rid of George Soros, I tell you, it won't change a damn thing. See, I've steadily over the years continued to try to bring you along this path to understand they will always give us people to hate. That is also part of the distraction, because the whole thing is to keep you 100% away from the actual truth. So our struggle is not against flesh and blood. Here it is. Ready? Rulers, authorities that are the powers of the dark world against spiritual forces of evil. And this is happening in a heavenly realm. And their job is to deceive and to tempt and to oppress and to destroy. And a lot of this discussion happens, like I showed you in your head. And so when you understand these older sources and you understand what's going on, these people are known by many names. You've also learned that one. In fact, the trios sometimes get confusing, which is why I think the church doesn't teach it, because they're not really interested in the historical nature of it. But these unholy trinities, you might have heard them as Lucifer, Beelzebub, Asheroth, or you might have heard it as Lucifer, Beelzebub, Leviathan, Lucifer, Beelzebub, Belal. But I want you to answer honestly. How many of you knew that from a leadership standpoint, there was actually a trio? Please answer honestly. How many of you knew there was a trio? Had you ever been taught before that there was a trio? You understand it always works in equals. Holy Trinity, unholy Trinity. It's always equals. Here is what happened in the election. No, here is what happened in the election. See, that's the yin and the yang, which is correct. But you're never taught the full truth. Now, the way I look at it is if you focus, oh, they're just satanic. How many people have you heard that are podcasters, let's say? They're just Satanists. They're just Satanists. They're just Satanists, Satanists, Satanists. And they have no concept. No concept. Okay, get people focused on Satan, and you left the other 2/3 exposed. You get it? This is where we are in our timeline, folks, of what we have to understand. And maybe for the first time, we really have to understand how long this fight's been going. Hey, put it in context of Muslims wanting to cut people's heads off. And you got Muhammad, and Muhammad created his own text, and Muhammad went to everybody in the ancient region and said, hey, what? You're talking about this fellow Jesus. Well, I am now better than that. I have a better version, and Jesus is not the Messiah. I am. How many of you had never heard that? And they don't teach that. 700s, in the 700s, when Muhammad did his, and that's why Sunnis and Shias fight each other. Why do they fight and kill each other? Because one says the Messiah for them is Muhammad. One says, or prophet for them is his uncle. And that's why they kill each other. But they're still fighting over, nope, this Jesus guy's not real. You're all wrong. It's me. You will bow down and acknowledge it's me, or we'll kill you. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar? You do understand it's why Salman Rushdie, they put a contract on his life for writing. It was actually satanic verses. Don't you remember all that? It's because history is the lens that makes everybody understand this. And if you get it in little bitty bites, you never. But Muhammad basically said, you will accept me in place of Jesus, and this is the divine text, not what you're studying. And if you don't, you are an infidel, and we will kill you. How many people just taught you that simple thing? When you put it into the context of you understand the deceive part and you understand Lucifer, basically saying, no, I'm it, nobody else is it. This has been going on for a very, very, very long time. Now, the second one in this unholy trio, and I'm just using Beelzebub, spelled many different ways. Most people don't even know that Beelzebub was a Philistine deity, right? Who were the Philistines? Put it in chat. Do you know? Who were the Philistines? Anybody know? We've thought about it before. Who were, in reality, the Philistines? Well, it's just the ancient name for Hamas. But again, if you don't know your history, you don't get to connect the dots. And you completely forget that the Philistines are Hamas. Do you understand how long this battle's been going on? But you understand why they separate history. It's why they don't teach our school children in the United States of America and about how our country was founded, our fathers, what we went through, why it was so divine. But now they teach you, no, your founders were slave owners, they were evil. Everything's about cleaving, folks. And that's why I said, if you don't understand the history, you literally, right, even if you just literally focus on Satan and what this is, you don't even know the full history and you don't understand who and what these people are. Yes, 1/3 rebelled, and it's got that 1/3, right? Combo. And this has been going on for 5,000 years. It's been talked about. Beelzebub, right? You have Baal Zebub, that's hyphenated. Baal Zebub was the god of Ekron, not Enron, Ekron. It was the Philistine deity that was the advisor of King Isaiah. Most people don't know that. Literally, he's called the prince of demons. He is the top prince. What does it mean if you go back into old time text and you go back into understanding Hebrew and everything? Be-lil ya ya all. Be-lil ya ya all. You know what it means? It's used in a phrase like son of Bilal, which we're going to talk of, all of these are together. The prince of demons, it's all about being worthless scoundrels. Every one of these are connected. They are the princes executing this on earth. Do you think history repeats itself? You know why history repeats itself? Because we never learn. It's very simple. It's because we never learn. All of this has been out there at every time. But people are not. And just so you understand, Beelzebub, Baal, B-A-A-L dash Zebub, Z-E-B-U-B, is also Baal. But you kind of think it's all these different things. No, it's just different cultures talking about it. If you go back in ancient times where I said Azariah, or Uzziah, I'm putting an R in it, but there's not, A-H-A-Z-I-A, that king. This is one of the kings that was basically in direct. You know what Baal, Beelzebub was actually over? You ever wonder where the term Lord of the Flies comes from? It's because this is the one that controls pestilence. Pestilence. Which I've always found is funny because if you rearrange it, it's Pete Santilli, but pestilence. He was the one that has the power over life's fortunes, life's sickness, health, and fertility. You see why you can't separate these? Because if you don't understand Lucifer's thing, and that's the fall, pride. I'm a star, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a hero, I'm a this, I got to be a hero. It's got to be about me. I got to name it after my name. It's I'm a patriot book because my name is Patriot. Do you follow what I'm saying? That's pride. But you miss all of these because right behind it, between the three, is where they have power over your fortunes and stuff. And you've got to understand the evil Trinity directly mocks the Holy Trinity. This has always been there. And I think it's ironic when people learn about Bilal, right? Belial. You know what he does? He is the one that seeds worthlessness, lawlessness, and good for nothing to society. Do you think that's going on? He's in charge of, get ready for this, the violent troublemakers. Do you think that's going on? Are we living in a world where we're plagued with violent troublemakers? This is why I tell you history is the most important thing you've got to understand. And they basically call you what they actually are. There you go. All of this is about grand deception. And when you see this unholy trinity in play, you begin to understand it. You begin to understand, right? These kids believe that they're bad, that something's wrong with my body, that's God is wrong, I am so worthless. Oh, we'll change that. God was wrong. We'll change that, little boy, because you think you're a girl and your parents fed you that. We'll just change you into a girl. And then what do? They bop right up to the pride thing. Oh, I'm going to wear it out. Look at this. I'm so special. Do you understand how these combos work? This is what we're dealing with. And I'm just providing a word of warning that even the church and organized religion has not taught you the truth you need to know. You are woefully inequipped because of the man part of it, not the God part of it. God is your faith. God is your direct connection. They killed Jesus because he says, you see these robes, you see these buildings? Nope, you talk to God. That's what God has always taught, and it's what Jesus taught. Where did it go? Well, no, it's this way, this building, this robe, this sacrament, this. That's man. And it's why you have to understand in all of this, you can lay any of these right over the politicians. If you just took what each of these demons that has been talked about for 5,000 years and what they're responsible for, when you understand it, you can lay over everything that's going on today. That is why this is spiritual warfare. That is why this is such a horrible fight.
Did you know that God protects his people by raising an invisible barrier against all evil? In Job 1:10, Satan appeared before God. He admitted that Job was not unprotected but surrounded by a divine hedge that could not be broken.
Have you not put a hedge around him, his household, and everything he owns?
This wall could not be seen by human eyes, yet the adversary knew that as long as it stood, he had no access to Job, his family, or his possessions. It was a supernatural covering that guarded not only his life but also the work of his hands. In this way, God revealed his care for those who remained faithful to him. Just as he raised a spiritual hedge around Job, he can also surround those who trust in his word, setting boundaries that no force of darkness can cross. Even if we do not always see it, the enemy recognizes that there are limits established by God in favor of his children. Type Amen if you believe that God still builds a hedge of protection around those who trust him.
Now, when you understand these ancient truths directly connected to God, you understand why I call out wearing a cross on the outside of your shirt is bullshit, because that's what you're trying to convince people you are. That means it's mankind, and your focus is mankind. It also means you are not really connected in this battle to understand it, because the cross on the outside of your shirt doesn't mean shit. Because even on the side of church and religion, just like Muslims, it's all this bullshit fighting war. You're not going to do this unless you do this. You understand, God never taught that. And so all I'm trying to do is to help you understand we live in a time of demons. We live in the realm of demons. Demons can infect people. Demons can take over people. Demons are incarnate in what you see because it's all the same thing. And so I want to remind you, this fight is not against flesh and blood. Why I basically told you if they hung Epstein or whatever, it doesn't make a bit of difference. That's the flesh and blood. And you know what? The system wants you to focus on the flesh and blood. They will always give you an evil to hate, to point to. And that's the distraction. And those people get paid good to do it. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood. It's against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, which we live in, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms, meaning it's always around us. Please, please, please share this program. I love you. I hope you got something from it. See you next time.
Did you know that God protects his people by raising an invisible barrier against all evil? In Job 1:10, Satan appeared before God. He admitted that Job was not unprotected but surrounded by a divine hedge that could not be broken.
Have you not put a hedge around him, his household, and everything he owns?
This wall could not be seen by human eyes, yet the adversary knew that as long as it stood, he had no access to Job, his family, or his possessions. It was a supernatural covering that guarded not only his life but also the work of his hands. In this way, God revealed his care for those who remained faithful to him. Just as he raised a spiritual hedge around Job, he can also surround those who trust in his word, setting boundaries that no force of darkness can cross. Even if we do not always see it, the enemy recognizes that there are limits established by God in favor of his children. Type Amen if you believe that God still builds a hedge of protection around those who trust him.
Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County Full Forensic Audit Archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now.
This crazy world is telling you your sons can be daughters and your daughters can be your sons. When will the madness stop? Never. So you have to decide, will you comply or defy? They tell us all, you will own nothing, eat bugs, and be happy. Is this why America's largest food processing plants and food supply plants keep burning down? Do you really think this is a coincidence? Of course not. The system is telling us right to our faces what they have planned for us. You have a choice. Comply or simply defy their plan for us all. Defy the system's plan and execute your own plan. Abundant, safe, secure natural food supply. Introducing the Food Forest Bible. This bestseller by Jovan Hutton Pulitzer is the single most complete, executable, easy-to-follow plan for sustainable, self-managing food production for self-sufficiency and food security. For the first time ever, a coffee table, heirloom quality full color book which unlocks the ancient secrets of creating a food forest. Imagine planting in a way which requires no digging, no pesticides, and creates massive ancient food abundance. No fooling. Food forests are the ancient secret to planning and planting once. And have your own Garden of Eden, which will feed your families for decade after decade. Buck the system. Buck the New World Order and order your very own copy of Jovan Hutton Pulitzer's Food Forest Bible. Learn how to create a sustainable, self-managing, natural food production for self-sufficiency and food security for your family. Side yard, small yard, backyard, backlot, or even lots of acres, the Food Forest Bible works for everyone. Order on Amazon, hardcover, softcover, or ebook. Don't comply. Expertly defy the system.